Welcome to Frisella's All Around the Yard, our podcast for your success and your home, in your yard, in your garden, houseplants, all things plant related. This is the show for you. I am your host, Tony Frisella Jr. here at Frisella Nursery. And today we have joining us Jeff Holper from Holper Pest and Animal Solutions. Jeff, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. It's a wonderful thing to be. I've been doing this my 36th year in pest control.
Wow.
And so we've taken care of just about anything and everything around the area. This time of year, of course, ants, termites, carpenter bees, squirrels are still hanging out in houses. Mice are pretty bad. So we deal with insects, animals, spiders. We're brown recluse specialists. It's a good time to start for brown recluse if you have them. And so there's all kinds of good things that we offer.
And this is your first time on the podcast.
It is.
First time talking with me.
Yeah.
You talk with my dad, my old man all the time.
Yeah.
Who happens to be out of town at this point in time and enjoying life a little bit more.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, on the Squirrels, across the street from our design center in the city in Richmond Heights, we're trying to watch the squirrels pop out of the second story or the roof line up at the second story, and there's an albino squirrel.
Oh wow!
And one of them a white squirrel. It was weird because it's a red roof. It's stark as day. You can definitely see the difference between it all. So, I live out here in Defiance, and I know one of my problems is the ground bees.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what the exact name.
Yellow jacket is primarily the one you're dealing with.
I tell you what, my house is the worst. I get the hornet's nest, the big nest, and then I get the ground bees. I usually have 2 or 3 ground bees nests around my house at any given time, and I'm out working in the yard. You never know it until you step on them. You literally have to step on the hole.
Yeah, almost
before they come out.
And once you do,
watch out!
It really depends on how late you are in the season. What they do is they start usually building their nest in June. And a lot of times if we have a really rainy June, it really screws the yellow jackets up from building their nest, and you may not have near as many of them. But if we have a decent June and they go into July, by the time it gets to August, you could easily have a nest of 2,500 of them or more. And when you walk over it and stir it up or run over it past it with your lawnmower, you have created a day that you'll remember.
I've ran over the bobcat before, and it came out. Luckily, I had a full cab on it and just dumped a pile of dirt over the hole, and there it went. But we were on a job once, and there was an old pallet of bricks that was on the property, and we moved them. And man, one of my guys, he took off out of the woods. I said, "What's wrong with you?" All of a sudden, I saw all these things chasing him,
following him.
So the average homeowner, just thinking suburbia, what do you think is, or what's happening right now? What bugs are they going to start seeing at this point in time in their homes?
Right now, the biggest thing is spiders and ants.
Okay.
Termites, all 3 of them.
So they're all becoming active now.
Yeah, they're all becoming active now. We're bidding a lot of termite work, and just about all the time we have a regular flow of bed bugs, and so we're doing a fair amount of those as well.
So what do you do for bed bugs, and how do you know you have them?
Well, 4 out of 10 people notice they've been bit. 6 out of 10 don't know they've been bit. And a lot of times they don't know unless all of a sudden they decide to change their sheets. Uh-huh. And all of a sudden they look around the cord of the mattress, and there's crap, it looks like pepper, and it's basically fecal matter from a bed bug. And then if you look in the crack enough, you'll see probably live bed bugs and baby bed bugs, and it takes a while for them to get established, but they usually start at the bed and then radiate to the dressers on each side of the bed, the nightstands, and then they radiate from there. And if you discover you have them, a lot of times you freak out. And what do? You pick your blanket up and you go and sleep on the couch. And now you've taken them to the couch. And so you radiate the problem around your house because you keep moving stuff.
Yeah.
And when we come in and we inspect for it, we treat the whole house to make sure you're taken care of. We wrap the mattresses so that if the bugs go on it, they can't get into it. And it can be solved. It's not the cheapest treatment in the world, but
So
it's
what do you do for that treatment? Is
usually
it a spray or is it
it's a seek and destroy with about 3 different kinds of spray.
Gotcha.
We're going to dust some. We're going to spray some. We're going to do all kinds of different stuff.
Okay.
And it's a pretty extensive treatment and involves at least usually 3 treatments to make sure we got them.
Huh.
And that requires cooperation with the customer because they have to package things up and put them in these bags with this fumigant that we put in there. And that'll kill anything that's in there. And so it's quite a preparation for them, for us to come, and then we come treat it and take care of it.
Interesting. I know I can speak personally, or my wife more so can, because I get the text messages. We have an ant problem. I'm like, okay, so what's the ant? There's an ant crawling on the sill. I said, one ant? And then 2 days later, we have an ant problem. I was like, what does that mean? And she goes, now there's more ants. And I was like, and then my oldest son, this is hilarious. He's in the kitchen, and he's looking. He goes, Mom. And my wife's like, what? She goes, there's a whole colony. It was only a few ants, but yeah. he saw her complain about the ants. He's like, there's a colony on the floor. Yeah. So
usually those ants are attached to a large group of ants. Mm-hmm. They're coming to your house to have a little dinner and all that stuff, but for the most part, they're going back home. Some of them do nest in your wall, but a lot of them are coming from the outside in. Mm-hmm. And we use a chemical called Termidor. We go a foot up, foot out, all the way around the house. Mm-hmm. And that does a really good job to deal with an ant problem. And basically, ants that touch each other, when they rub and all that stuff, it just transfers the effect, and eventually you kill the colony. And it's an amazing product.
Interesting.
And so it is revolutionized ant control, but there's still, we're also walking around the house lifting the thing that's underneath the downspout. Lift that up and spray under that, because a lot of times they're under there. Mm-hmm. You got to do a good inspection around the outside of the house. And you do that, you normally can solve the ant problem fairly quickly. We do it in 2 treatments just to make sure we got it all. And but if you're on our regular quarterly service, or our gold service, which is for brown recluse and everything, or our platinum service is bed bugs and everything, we take care of it, and it's all part of it.
So you bring up another good, interesting point, the brown recluse.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, by the time the show's over, or the episode's over, nobody's going to come to my house. But I have literally every, or because we live out in the country,
yes,
we have basically every issue that people deal with on a daily basis: spiders, ants, moles, groundhogs. Right. With the brown recluse, everybody sees the horror story that was on the news with the house in Weldon Springs last year, the year before, where they had to condone the house because it was so bad. So when people notice they have an issue,
if they would have gave me that house in a month, I could have gave it back to them. Burning that thing up was one of the stupidest things in the world. It was nuts. They're insane. If they couldn't get it taken care of, they had the wrong company. That's all I can tell you. Because if you treat it well, you can protect a house and get it to the point where you don't think about it anymore. And now, does it require a long-term relationship with my company? Yes. Because if you have conducive conditions for brown recluse, I'm not changing the conducive conditions.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with when they walk there, they come in contact with something and it causes them to die.
So what would be conducive conditions? Just kind of a few things off the top of your head.
Shake shingles, which isn't a huge thing anymore, but living out in the woods, having 8-foot ivy all the way around the perimeter of your house, having that old house in U City or Clayton, that brick house is a perfect place for recluse. It really, every house is different. And so you can have a brand new house and still have them. And it doesn't matter, the situation is if they like your house and they're around, they're going to live there. Now, does it mean you're going to get bit and your arm's going to fall off? No. But
everybody sees the horror stories. Yeah.
If you see them, what we do is we come in and we do an initial inspection, and we're looking for webs and usually in the basement, you look around the sill plate, that area, if you see sort of abstract webs with little white casings in it, or body casings left by the spider because it has to shed the casing to grow to the next size. If you see that, you have recluse. We need to help you, and it's one of those things that you're not going to solve it yourself because we have the right tools to do it. We have the tools and the chemicals to do it with. And we do the same thing at my grandson's house as I do at anybody else's house. And so what it takes to bother a spider and what it takes to bother a human is two different things. I mean, totally different. The chemical that I use for ants and termites, we mix it up, we spray your house, everything's cool. If you buy Frontline, which is for your dog, for fleas and ticks, when you put that on your dog, you're putting it 160 times greater than what I put in the ground to kill a termite or an ant.
Wow. And
you hug that dog, you kiss it, it probably sleeps with you, and so that's 160 times greater, and it's still not hurting you or the dog.
That's an interesting concept, especially as people become more conscious about, the food they eat, the chemicals that are around them on a day. Maybe there's a lot more consciousness to that. That's actually a great point bringing that up.
But it's one of those things that some people worry so much about a pesticide that when I apply it, it dries and it stays there. It's not floating in their house. It's not something that you're sitting there and you're absorbing all the air. It's staying where it is, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. Create a barrier so when a bug walks past it, it sticks to it, releases the chemical to it, and kills it. And we use a lot of things that are called microencapsulated.
Yeah.
There's over 1,000 microcaps to an inch, and you can't see them. But when a lot of people go, well, you can't spray for a spider. They don't know what they're talking about. A microcap attaches to the spider and releases chemical and kills it. And it is very, very, very effective. And I can usually bring a house under control within a month or two, depending on how bad they are. And what we do is we'll put monitors around the house, and we actually sell a thing. It's $20. And it comes with 20 monitors and identification chart to show you a brown recluse versus a wolf spider. And it tells you how to set these around the perimeter of your house.
Those wolf spiders are nasty.
Then all you have to do is call us up, and we come and we'll check those monitors at no charge and tell you if you have a problem. And if you have 6 on those 20 monitors in 2 to 4 weeks, you have a brown recluse problem that we need to treat. And the thing the monitor does is it tells us, okay, they're really bad in your bedroom. They're really bad in your living room. And so it shows us where the main problem is, but we're going to still treat the whole house, and we'll take it back, and it's one of those things. then it requires regular service to maintain not having that interaction with the spider.
So you were talking about the putting frontline on your pets and those kind of things too. Yeah. So obviously one of the concerns we had a veterinarian on several episodes ago, just talking about houseplants, what houseplants to watch out for. But one thing we didn't obviously touch on is with what you guys do, is there anything that a homeowner should be cautious of what their pets might be getting into if you are trying to treat a problem, whether it's short term or long term?
There isn't enough. I spray your house and your dog walks in. Mm-hmm. There's not enough active ingredient on the bottom of their paw to bother them at all. Or your child. There's just isn't. And if you wait a half hour, it's all dry and it's not coming off.
Well, it's like a lot of lawn services too. It's like they tell you don't go out while it's wet, let it dry. Then,
let it dry. Yeah. And we do, with brown recluse treatment, we also do perimeter sprays around the outside, go 4 foot up the building, 8 foot out, all the way around, so that we create a barrier because most of the time they're coming from the outside in. Well,
it's kind of the same concept of like a synthetic weed barrier, where you might put the yellow flakes out on the with a showcase or a snapshot. You put it down before you mulch, and it creates that layer to help prevent any germination. So it's kind of the same thing for what you're talking about with it. Now, breaking the barrier could be power washing a house or a couple of things like that, right? Would that cause you an issue?
Could, but usually if it's treated well, nothing's going to really mess with it beyond time. Time and sun is what breaks it down. And for recluse, we're looking at maybe every 2 or 3 months doing the treatment around the outside. Mm-hmm. We also do mosquitoes. If you're being eaten alive in your backyard, or we're going into,
especially right now, everybody wants to be out in the yard.
Everybody wants to be in your yard. We come once a month. A lot of the other mosquito services are every 3 weeks, so you pay us a lot less. Because we come once a month, you're getting an extra week of guarantee, and so we come once a month from usually April to October or November, depending on how warm it is in November, and treat, and we give you your yard back. You can barbecue, you can have the best time in the world in your backyard if we've been there.
It's a perfect segue to the outside. Talk a lot about the inside.
Okay,
let's go outside. That's where all of our listeners typically play a lot of if they're in this time of the year. So
outside, you're going to have all different kinds of issues, and I'm primarily an inside guy that does the outside. Mm-hmm. We also treat for fleas in the yard if you need it. If you have dogs right now, if you schedule a treatment for June, and we treat the inside of your house in June for fleas, and if we spray the yard for fleas in June, July, August, September, you have a flea-free house. Mm-hmm.
But sugars,
it will help. It won't totally eliminate.
Things are horrible,
but it will help you with ticks.
Okay, I remember when I first bought my house. It had a bunch of tall grass. That's now nicer manicured lawn. I don't want my wife dogging on me too much because you have a lot of dirt right now. But we had tall grass, and we were walking through it. After we closed on it, and a couple days later, all of a sudden I was like, "What is going on?" I had chiggers. I've had them when I was a kid, but it was bad. And since then, we sprayed the yard for. I can't remember what we used, but then we just keep the grass. Obviously, we keep the grass mowed. We don't have the issue anymore. We had a little bit of it, but nothing crazy. Some of my boys got chiggers, and it's just a overspray on the turf. Once or twice is all we really did to take care of it. Groundhogs, moles.
Groundhogs. I travel the country and speak as the mole hunter. So moles is one of my specialties. Myself and my company, we've trapped over 50,000 of them. I figure I've trapped over $1 million worth of moles. Moles are one of those things that are a huge part of our business in the aspect of a lot of times because people think if we can kill a mole, we can kill anything. Mm-hmm. And moles cause so much frustration to people because most of the things they buy and try don't work. Mm-hmm. And so because it doesn't work, they think it's impossible. or they're about to give up their yard to the mole. You don't have to. What you need to do is learn how to use trap. And if you call my office at 314-544-7378, you can order our mole kit. It's $139. It gives you 6 traps, a DVD, and my mole locator tool. And you put all that together and you will kill the moles the rest of your life. Education in the right tool works. And you may look at that trap, that spear trap that we sell you, and go, that doesn't work. You don't know how to use it. Once you know how to use it, it is a weapon that they're not meant to be lawn ornaments. They're meant to, you see a fresh tunnel, you set the traps, you kill the mole, you pick them up, put them back in the garage for the next one. And a lot of people think, well, God, I've got 300 or 400 feet of tunnel around my house. I got to have an army. Moles are primarily solitary. They can dig 100 foot of tunnel a day. They eat their whole body weight every day. Okay, so they're moving looking for food. Mm-hmm. And once you find those tunnels, and my mole locator tool helps you figure out where to put the traps, or after a great rain, the rain knocks all the hills down, and all of a sudden you have this nice fresh crack in the ground. You know where to start setting your traps. Mm-hmm. The mole was just there. And sometimes it's a matter of minutes before you have a dead one.
Yeah, I've got on both sides, I always have moles in my front and side yard. My yard just has never been to the pristine level that I want to get it to because I'm doing everything else still. Yeah. But once I get there, you'll be getting a call because I can't stand these things.
Yeah, and if you mow your own lawn, you ought to take care of your own moles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you want us to do it, great. We love it. Our $99 setup is good through the end of the year, and $79 a mole. I am glad to do it for you. But you can spend $139 and get the tools and the education and win over every mole you have. Mm-hmm. And it brings joy to your heart every time you get one.
So groundhogs, and I've never experienced groundhogs until I had my house, and it was 3 years ago I started seeing them. Yes. They'd burrow in the little creek hillside. Yep. I see them out in the yard. I get in my garden. They eat all the leaves off the green beans in my garden, but they don't eat the green beans, and it's just like, what is going on? Then they were living under my deck last year. I did take care of those myself, but
trapping is a very effective way, especially if you know where the hole is. You set a trap right by the hole and you use the right bait, you're going to catch groundhog. It's very good to make sure it's power washed really good, because if a raccoon's been in that trap, that's not as easy to catch it as it would be if there wasn't one.
They can sense it.
Yeah. But groundhogs they mess with your garden. They mess with your lawn. And if you have them, it's a good idea to take care of them. And we euthanize everything that we trap. You are not going to get that groundhog back again. Same with squirrels. We take care of it, and that's it. And everything's good, and you don't have to worry about that squirrel again.
And the groundhogs have been absolutely miserable. The only thing I haven't that you brought up so far that I haven't had an issue with the squirrels. Yeah. So, and I've got trees hanging over my house, so I've so far been lucky.
If you got squirrels, trees hanging all over your house, trimming is a good idea. It still can climb up the side of your building. It can jump off the tree and hit your deal. But usually if you have enough, trees and stuff out there, they pick the tree over your house. Mm-hmm. Now, in U City or Ladue or Clayton, they pick the house over the tree any day because there's not 10,000 trees for them to go to, And so because of that, it's a whole different story. And, usually a squirrel eats a hole about the size of a tennis ball right above the gutter where you cannot see it from the ground. But usually wherever you hear the noise, the hole is within 5 feet of that noise.
Interesting. Okay.
And so we set traps by that, and we're going to catch it and catch the whole family, because squirrels are family oriented. If you relocate a squirrel, it is not going to you let it go. Other squirrels aren't going, hey, well, we got a ton of nuts. Come on, have dinner with us. They see it as an enemy and they're going to kill it anyhow. And so when push comes to shove, catch the squirrels, euthanize them, and then be done with it. As the other thing is, if you try to do it yourself, that monitor of putting it over the hole is a huge thing to make sure that you're not trapping anything in. Because if you trap the squirrel in the house, it's going to eat its way out, or through your house, it's coming down into it. And so you need to really make sure that you've caught all of them before you do repair.
Have you ever seen a squirrel eat its way into the house?
Oh, yeah. They always do.
Huh. I know how squirrels get in attics and stuff, but...
Well, that's how they get into the attic.
Okay.
Is that right at the gutter line. They usually eat right at the roof, between the fascia and the roof. Mm-hmm. They'll eat a hole. It's about the size of a tennis ball.
Interesting. Huh.
And a coon will make a longer hole, and it won't be as wide, but it'll
flatten itself out and get in.
Flatten itself out and get in. Or they come. Most likely, they're going to come down the chimney, and they'll hang out and have their babies right above the damper. In the fireplace. We get a lot of raccoons in May, June that are in.
That's just to me. This is crazy that they go all the way down that chimney.
Oh yeah,
and then they go right back.
And then when the baby is big enough, it crawls up and goes out with it.
Interesting.
It's amazing. What they do to climb inside of a chimney to get in and out is just incredible.
Wow. Well, I could see it, but I never would have.
I did a house one time where the people were in Europe for like 3 months, and they had somebody coming to their house, checking it once a week.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they came in, and all of the canisters were busted and stuff all over, and they saw black footprints coming from the fireplace into the kitchen. Well, then they saw black footprints going from the fireplace down the hallway to the bathroom, and it was getting water out of the toilet. and so this raccoon family was just like, hey, this is the greatest place in the world. We got food, we got we got everything. And so it is one of those things that if you have a raccoon, you got to deal with it really bad. And sometimes it's worse than other.
Yeah, 100%. They're strong little animals.
They are amazing. I mean, I did a house where it was 10 foot up from the gutter line, dead center middle of the roof, and they ate a hole about the size of a 10-inch pizza. Right through the shingle, through the plywood, and into the attic. And no reason to pick that spot. I have no idea why they picked that spot, but they did. It
is insane.
Yeah, and so we're here to take care of whatever problem you have, whether it's an animal or an insect. You can call us, like I say, at 314-544-PEST, and you will get some great people. The people who work for me are all background checked and drug tested and everything, and we wear booties when we come into your house. We wear masks when we come into your house. So
what's a website for you?
A website is holperspest.com.
And then are you a social media handle?
I don't really do much beyond that. We do have a page on Facebook, but we're really not doing a lot with it yet. It's one of those deals that I sort of need that person,
Well, Jeff, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you for making the time. Because I know I've learned a few things already on this and was wowed by a couple of the things that you said. And ladies and gentlemen, always remember you can follow us on our social media and Instagram at Frisella Nursery or at Frisella Landscape Group. You can visit our website, frisellanursery.com. We have always a lot of great things going on, whether it's promotion, events, how-to seminars. There are so many things happening here. Again, our job, our goal is to make sure that you have the information, the tools, the knowledge to be successful and feel successful in your yard and get you the yard that you've always visioned having. Thank you for your ears. Feel free to subscribe, share with a friend if you felt this episode was helpful and would help somebody that you know might have one of these situations that Jeff has so eloquently described. And until next week, we will go from there.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.